The reason I wanted to read the Trinity in the first place is because, if I'm correct, this is the Great Tribulation. They're calling it global warming, and you're going to need some hope. So, another reason I'm going ahead and reading the Trinity first is because as I was looking through stats, I realized kids aren't being baptized anymore, and that means they don't have the wick, and if they don't have the wick, they can't hold the light, and if they don't have the light, they can't see their way to heaven. And we're coming into the Great Tribulation where they're talking about this is all darkness. You know, us Catholics got to be the last people to the game here. This global warming is really the Great Tribulation, and we're watching all these things happen right now. That's why I wanted to read the Trinity. Okay, I have the Catholic Catechism over there. I had to read that. It was the hardest thing I've ever read in my entire life. And because I'm trying to reach blue-collar workers and Catholic Americans, I'm trying to read the Trinity to them from a book that makes sense to us. The Catholic Catechism kind of doesn't. The Trinity on page 205 of the Dialogue in Catherine of Siena, the Dialogue. Dearest daughter, first I want to tell you of the dignity in which my goodness has established them. This is beyond the love I have shown in general to all my creatures by creating you in my image and likeness and recreating all of you in grace through my only begotten Son's blood. You attain such excellence because of the union I effected between my Godhead and human nature, that your excellence and dignity is greater than that of the angels. For it was your nature, I assume, not that of the angels. So as I told you, I, God, became man, and humanity became God through the union of my divine nature with your human nature. This greatness is given to every person in general, but from among the rest I have chosen my ministers for your salvation. So through them the blood of the humble, spotless Lamb, my only begotten Son, might be administered to you. It is the Son I have given them to administer, for it is the light of learning, the heat of divine charity, the color that is fused with the heat and the light, the blood and body of my Son. His body is indeed a Son, such as it is one thing with me, the true Son. Such is the unity that one can neither be separated nor cut off from the other any more than the sun can be divided, neither its heat from its light, nor its light from its color, so perfect is its unity. This sun never leaves its orbit, it never divides, it gives light to all the world, to everyone who wants to be warmed by it. This is not defiled by any uncleanliness. Its light is one. So is this word, my Son. His most glorious blood is a Son, holy God, holy human, for he is one thing with me and I with him. My power is not separated from his wisdom, nor is the heat and the fire of the Holy Spirit separated from me the Father, or from him the Son. For the Holy Spirit proceeds from me the Father, and from him the Son, and we are one and that same Son. I am that Son, God eternal, whence proceeded the Son and the Holy Spirit. To the Holy Spirit is appropriated fire, and to the Son wisdom, and in that wisdom my ministers received a gracious light for administering this light with lightsome gratitude for the blessings they received from me, the eternal Father, when they followed the teachings of this wisdom, my only begotten Son. This light has in it the color of your humanity, one unity with the other, united with the other, so the light of my Godhead became that light made one with the color of your humanity. And the color became lightsome when it became impassible by virtue of the Godhead and the divine nature. The person of the incarnate Word was penetrated and kneaded into one dough with the light of my Godhead, the divine nature, and with the heat and the fire of the Holy Spirit, and by this means you have come to receive the light, and to whom I have entrusted it, to my ministers in the mystical body of Holy Church, so that you might have life when they give you his body as food and his blood as drink. I have said that this body of his is a son. Therefore you could not be given the body without being given the blood as well, nor either the body or the blood without the soul of this word, nor the soul of the body without the divinity of me, God eternal. For the one cannot be separated from the other, just as the divine nature can never more be separated from the human nature, not by death or by any other thing past, present, or future. So it is the whole divine being that you receive in that most gracious sacrament under the whiteness of bread. And just as the Son cannot be divided, so neither can my wholeness as God, as human, in this white host. Even if the host is divided, even if you could break it into 1,000 and thousands of tiny pieces, in each one I would be their holy God, holy human. It is just as when a mirror is broken, and yet the image one sees reflected in it remains unbroken. So when this host is divided, I am not divided by it, but remain completely in each piece holy God, holy human. Nor is the sacrament itself diminished by being divided any more than is fire. To take an example, if you had a burning lamp and all the world came to you for light, the light of your lamp would not be diminished by the sharing, yet each person would have shared in it, would have the whole light. True, each one's light would be more or less intense depending on what sort of material each one brought to receive the fire. I give you this example so that you better understand me. Imagine that many people brought candles, and one person's candle weighed 1 ounce, another's 2 or 6, or someone else's a pound, and yet another more than that, and they all came to your lamp to light their candles. Each candle, the smallest as well as the largest, would have the whole light with its heat and color and brightness. Still, you would think that the person who carried the 1 ounce candle would have less than the one whose candle weighed a pound. Yet this is how it goes with those who receive this sacrament. Each one of you brings your own candle, that is the holy desire with which you receive and eat this sacrament. Your candle by itself is unlit, and it is lighted when you receive this sacrament. I say it is because by yourself you are nothing at all. It is I who have given you the candle with which you can receive this light and nourish it within you. And your candle is love. Because it is for love I have created you, so without love you cannot have life. Your being was given to you for love. And in holy baptism, which you received by the power of the blood of this word, you were made ready to share this light. There is no other way you can come to share it. Indeed, you would be a candle that has no wick, and therefore can neither burn nor even receive the light. So if you would bear this light, you must receive the wick that is faith, and this grace that you receive in baptism. You must join your soul's own love. For I created your soul without a capacity for loving, with a capacity for loving, so much so that you cannot live without love. Indeed, love is your food. Once the soul is so prepared, where is she to be lighted? At the flame of my divine charity, for loving and fearing me and following the teachings of my truth. She will take fire more or less intensely depending on the material she brings to this flame. For although you all have one and the same material, that you were all created in my image and likeness, and all of you who are Christians have the light of holy baptism, nevertheless each of you can grow in love and virtue as you choose and as I give you grace. Not that you change the form I gave you, but you do grow and build up the virtues in love by exercising your free choice virtuously and lovingly while you have time. For once time has passed for you, you can no longer grow. So you can grow in love. It is with this love that you come to receive my gracious, glorious light, the light I have given you as food to be administered to you by my ministers. But even though all of you receive the light, each of you receives it in proportion to the love and burning desire you bring with you. It is just like the example I gave you of the people with the candles receiving the flame according to their weight. Each of you carries the light whole and undivided, for it cannot be divided by any imperfection in you who receive it or in those who administer it. You share as much of the light, that is the grace you receive in this sacrament, as your holy desire disposes you to receive. But anyone who would approach this gracious sacrament while guilty of deadly sin would receive no grace from it, even though such a person would really be receiving me, as I am holy God and holy human. But do you know the situation of the soul who receives the sacrament unworthily? She is like a candle that has been doused with water and only hisses when brought near the flame. The flame no more touches it, but it goes out and nothing remains but smoke. Just so this soul brings a candle Just so this soul brings the candle she received in holy baptism and throws the water of sin over it, a water that drenched the wick of baptismal grace that is meant to bear the light, and unless she dries out the wick with the fire of true contrition by confessing her sin, she will physically receive the light when she approaches the table of the altar, but she will not receive it in her spirit. If the person is not disposed as she should be for so great a mystery, this true light will not graciously remain in her, but will depart, leaving her more confounded, more darksome, and more deeply in sin. She will have gained nothing from this sacrament but the hissing of remorse, not because of any defect in the light, for nothing can impair it, but because of the water it encountered in the soul, the water that so drenched her love that she could not receive this light. So you see, in no way can the heat and color and brightness that are fused in this light be divided, not by the scant desire the soul brings to this sacrament, nor by any fault in the soul who receives it, or in the one who administers it. It is like the sun, which is not contaminated by the filth it shines on. Nothing can contaminate or divide the gentle light in this sacrament. Its brightness is never diminished. It never strays us over. Though the whole world shares in the light and the heat of this sun, so this word, this Son, my only begotten Son, never strays from me, the eternal Son and Father. In the mystical body of Holy Church, he is administered to everyone who will receive him. He remains holy with me, and holy you have him, God and human, just as I told you in the example of the lamp. Though all the world should ask for his light, all would have it whole, and whole it would remain.